Good morning, NielsenFloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Lew Migliore, who's the president of LGM and Associates. They're a flooring forensics, a scientific consultant. Lew, how you doing this morning?
Good, Kemp. How are you?
I'm good. I thought I'd give you a shout and get your best impersonation of Joe Pesci.
Very funny. I've been hearing that for years. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
A little short Italian guy, good works for me.
That's right. Hard-working Italian, that's for sure. So I want to talk to you about two topics. One is the fact that you're back on the road. You're traveling on airplanes, and that's good to hear. The main conversation I want to have is the effect that these chemicals, these disinfectants or any other types of chemistry that's being used to kill a virus, what effect is it having on flooring? First thing I want to point out is the CDC initially said that this COVID-19 virus will stay alive for a long time on surfaces. Now, they kind of reversed their position on that, but there's still a lot of people out there that want to disinfect their offices or disinfect their retail showroom where samples are, and they're using various chemicals, and I guess there's a side effect, isn't there? Tell us a little bit about what you know about this.
Yeah, there is. Look, I don't profess to be a medical expert by any means.
Yeah.
As far as us being inundated with the virus on all surfaces in a flooring facility, I don't know how long this thing can live. I know it's a lipid, which is a fat, which is destroyed by simple detergents, and heat, which will melt fat. The use of chemicals, disinfectants of different types, oxidizers, things that have oxidizing components to them, peroxides and quaternary ammonia products, repeated use of them will in fact affect furnishings, not just carpet, but furnishings in general. And it can be vinyl flooring, because some of these things will in fact affect the polyurethane coating on vinyl flooring materials and fabrics on furniture, wood surfaces.
So we got some options. We got bleach, we got chloride, we got hand sanitizer, you got ozone, you got UV light, you got peroxide. All that's going to have an effect, right?
Absolutely. It's all going to have an effect. Now, typically, before all of this occurred, people that were doing disinfecting in spaces were treating these spaces infrequently.
Yeah.
Maybe every quarter, whatever it was. Now, we're looking at, in some cases, doing this on a daily basis, which presents a multitude of problems, because most of these things are fogged into a space, and that fog is moisture. So you have to contend with moisture. You have to contend with whatever it is that they're using and its effect on whatever it's coming in contact with. Having that stuff sit on materials, it can fade the color, it can degrade the color. Organic materials such as wool and cotton can be decomposed. Synthetics can be brittled. The buildup of the residue of these materials is going to have an effect, and consequently, after a period of time, however long that is, for the reaction to take place, we're going to start seeing the results of this over-application of these materials and how they're going to negatively affect the furnishings in a space.
I can tell you right now, one thing we're hearing is these retail stores are cleaning their samples, and you're seeing a color shift. People come into retail stores to buy flooring, and they want to see how this color matches their pillow, and that's not what the flooring's going to look like, because your sample, the color's been changed. So that's a fact.
Absolutely, and if you got a lot of sunlight coming in,
yeah,
the sunlight will exacerbate and catalyst the reaction of these chemicals on these materials and cause them to change color. Now, saying that, if you've got, for example, polyester carpet that's solution dyed or a nylon that's solution dyed,
right,
the effects are going to be less,
yeah,
and they will be much slower.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that you cannot affect solution dyed fiber, because you can. All you have to do is look at plastic swing sets and children's toys that sit out in the sun throughout the summer, and you'll see a fade. Or the cones on the highways, the orange cones.
Yeah,
that are nice and bright when they're brand new, and over a period of time they fade. Anything can be effective.
Is there a solution out there? Is there something you recommend that has very little effect on color shift but also kills the virus? Is there a recommended method?
I'm not a fan of continually spraying things.
Yeah.
A little is fine, but a lot is not. One of the things I'm looking at, and I hate to even say this, is ozone. A small ozone generator will disinfect and be effective. You don't have to run it very long. The space has to be empty because it'll kill you because it destroys the oxygen molecule. Ozone generators have been used for years to destroy odors. However, ozone is an oxidizer. It will fade things. So is there any one thing that I would say to use? I don't know. I mean, I would say wipe down the hard surfaces that people are going to touch. And as far as the rest of the stuff, you could vacuum it. You could hot water extract the carpet and the samples from time to time. I don't know that anybody's getting so much volume into any space that they should be concerned about having to do something like this every day, but just be conscientious about things.
I guess so what you're saying, moderation is best. Obviously some kind of a wipe down every now and then. Just be careful.
Yeah, it can affect the color and it can affect the finishes, and it also on your vinyl flooring materials can have an effect on that as well because most of them have a polyurethane coating, which can be affected by some of these chemicals. Absolutely.
All right, so we mentioned that you're going to tell us a little about your travel. You're back on some planes, aren't you? How's that going for you?
Sir, absolutely, and excited to be there. And my assistant, Anita, is elated that I'm getting out of the office because she says that if I stay around too long, I become a caged animal. Yes, the last trip I had taken was March 27th. Started to travel last week from Atlanta. I drove down there and flew to Tampa, Florida, down and back. The flights are actually, this past week, full, aside from the middle seat, which is nice. You have to wear your mask to get on the plane and off the plane. There's not that many people wearing masks in the airport, especially in Atlanta. Most of the concessions are open in Atlanta. The boarding process is fine. There are limited flights, which is why in some cases you've got to stay overnight.
What about pricing? Is it competitive?
To me, the prices that I paid for the tickets are what I would normally expect to pay on any other day that I've traveled throughout the years that I've been flying around.
Thanks so much for spending time with us and telling us about disinfectants and their effect on flooring and what's going on with the travel ramping back up. It's great to talk to you. Again, been talking to Lew Migliore, the president of LGM and Associates, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.